Law-Abiding Biker Podcast, Episode 1, Numero Uno, March 14th, 2013. Yup, that's right. You made the journey here. Welcome. Welcome to the LAB podcast, the official law-abiding biker podcast, where we talk about the world of motorcycling, motorcycles, ride reviews, equipment reviews, motorcycle laws and issues, motorcycle clubbing, motorcycle news, motorcycle television, and media smartphone app reviews. Oh, and so much more. Make no mistake about it, folks. This is a podcast for any, that's right, any law-abiding motorcycle enthusiast. We are the majority, after all, of motorcyclists, that is, the 99%ers. And we are who the motorcycling industry looks to and relies upon. So get ready, put your kickstand up, roll that throttle back, and hang on as we come at you with another Lab podcast. Welcome, folks. I'm Ryan, and I'm going to be your host today. Guess we'll talk a little bit first about my humble beginnings here. We want to get this, I wanted to pump this podcast out here, so I'm going to be the only one here today. I'll be doing the old solo act here on the podcast. Let me talk a little bit about my humble beginnings here. Actually, let me talk to you about what I guess this podcast is going to be and what expected to be. There's a lot of motorcycle podcasts out there. There's different topics, and some of them are good. Some of them I have listened to and just very disappointed with. So I wanted to make a forum for a podcast. I really wanted to have a open forum, something a little bit new, hopefully a little bit exciting, hopefully very diverse. And like I say, that's this podcast, which is for all law-abiding motorcycle enthusiasts. That's us. That's the 99%ers. So wanted to get it out there. It's open to all, and hopefully we're going to create a forum and a platform that we can discuss the many different issues. And like I said in the opening, all the motorcycle equipment and reviews, and riding safety tips and things like that. So in the future, I'm hoping I will bring on some co-hosts, some contributors, some people to give their 2 cents. Should be up on Skype eventually. We'll take some Skype calls, some Skype interviews. Thinking telephone is another good one. We'll do some telephone interviews. But I'm starting out pretty humble beginnings here. And, I don't know exactly how the quality is going to turn out on this podcast, but you can probably hear it a little bit. I want to get some better equipment. I know exactly what I want to get, but I'm doing this podcast for free. I'm kind of starting it as a hobby and see where it goes from here. If it stays a hobby, that's cool, but I do want better equipment. And what I'm talking about is I'm in my I'm in my daughter's closet. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's a pretty small closet. Let's see. maybe 6 feet wide by 6 feet deep. And I'm on her, I've got one shelf here, and I've got my condenser mic up here with some other equipment that I'm recording with. And that's why I'll just let you know, if you're not familiar with podcasting, is the condenser mic is why you hear all the noise in the background. Condenser mics pick up everything. That's why I've tried to isolate myself. There's clothes hanging in here. And you can hear me breathing. And if anybody were to walk in the house or in the room, you would hear that. But I've got the door shut. The kids and wife are asleep. And I've tried to isolate myself from any other sounds. So hopefully it's very, very quiet. But you will be able to hear my breathing. And if I pick something up or a piece of paper or anything else, in the future, I'm going to get a dynamic mic, which will cut that out. And I'll be able to do this podcast in my office without all this extra noise. In fact, I apologize. Okay, I just have to make sure the mic's set right. The best setting I can have on this condenser mic. So that's you're going to hear me take the breaths and things. Plus, it's kind of cramped in here, and it's kind of stuffy. I'm not going to lie to you. So, that's what I'm doing right now in my daughter's closet. And that's okay, because it's good to start out humble. Because if I can get the better equipment later, I guess it'll make me appreciate it that much more. So for these first one or couple, and as we pump these things out, you'll probably hear the quality improve. So hopefully I'm doing the best I can. So yeah. Props to me. Thank you. You didn't really. No, it's fine. But so that's the humble beginnings. That's kind of where I see it going. I just got done building a website for our club. I actually had a website built. I built a brand new site, a much more impressive site, I believe. And that took me quite a while. Just got done with that. So, like I say, this is going to be a forum, and I am working on building another website. This website, the Law Abiding Biker website, it's going to take me a little bit, so bear with me. I don't know, by the time this first episode gets pumped out, which you are listening to the very first podcast, which, you should feel pretty special, I guess. I feel pretty special here in the closet. But anyways, as I, like I say, pumping these things out, I don't even know where I lost track of my thoughts there, but anyways, I was talking about the website. So bear with me on the website, because I'm trying to get that done. And I'm also going to get a Facebook page going here. By the time this gets pumped out, the Facebook page should be up and running. I hope to do that tomorrow. And then, within the next 2-3 weeks, hopefully the website will get punched out there. And the cool thing about the website is you'll actually be able to go to the website, and there'll be blog forum on there, and you can make comments. I plan on doing some blogging on there, and you'll actually be able to listen to the podcast right from that website. You won't have to have iTunes or anything like that, but I am going to push these podcasts out to iTunes, BlackBerry, Android. You should be able to get them on all those devices. So, word of mouth is the best way to go. Like I say, I'm not making any money off this. I am doing this as a hobby in my spare time. I hope it's something people like. I hope it's something that grows, and hope we can be successful with it. And the future will tell that. But at any rate, I want to get something started and put out there at least. The best way right now, once I get that website up and running, I'll actually have a page, a contact page, and you'll be able to leave a voicemail. You'll be able to leave, obviously, emails and all that kind of stuff. But for right now, in the meantime, until you hear further on a future episode of one of these podcasts, you can email me at lawabidingbiker@yahoo.com. Again, lawabidingbiker LAB-01-Intro@yahoo.com. My name's Ryan, and you can just address it if you have comments about the show. If you have suggestions about topics, I've got just literally tons of topics for future podcasts, and I think we are, especially, like I say, I'm going to have some co-hosts, some guys in my club will be on here, and I'll get a hold of some other people that I know, and from all different states, really. I want people to get involved with this podcast and for it to be an open forum and hopefully very fun. I want to keep it super, super fun and keep it very open and interview just a very, very diverse crowd of people. I want to get out there in the field, and when new products come out, I want to go down to Harley dealership, and when the new Harleys come out and talk to them about, do some field interview stuff that I can incorporate into my podcast. So, like I say, hopefully this can turn out to be a really cool thing. But anyways, lawabidingbiker@yahoo.com is how you can do it right now. Get a hold of me there, comment on the show, bring up topics, because I'd rather, like I say, I have a ton of topics and I think they're interesting. And I think, with other people's input, if we're talking about what the audience wants, then we can certainly triage that and bump those ahead of the topics that I have to talk about it. So, yeah, get a hold of me there first. Once the website's up and running, there'll be some commercial ads on there. If you can click on those, and if you're going to purchase something, that just helps the podcast. Like I say, I'm not there. That's the only way that I can try to support this podcast and keep it going right now is by some commercials on the website and so forth. I'm not going to charge for the podcast. Obviously, we're just getting off the ground. So those commercials, I'm going to do a lot of, I do a lot of blogging and I do equipment reviews. And if you want to read some of my blogs, I'm actually blogging at swornfewmc.com. That's swornfewmc.com. That's a club website, and I'm blogging on that website. I do all kinds of stuff. But if you want to go there, you can just go to the website, go to the blog page, and you can follow up on some of the equipment, because usually if I'm talking about it on a podcast, it means I've blogged about it too. So you can go there. You can certainly support that page for now, that website. There's commercials. You can certainly support it, and those funds can go towards this podcast at this point. So I talked about the new website I'm building. If you guys are going to build a new website, I strongly suggest a couple. I built my last website. I bought my domain names at GoDaddy. Great place to buy your domain names. So GoDaddy.com, they've got deals right now. Like I say, if you go to the Sworn Few MC website, they've got all kinds of deals, and I'll have those ads and banners up on the new LAB website too, Law Abiding Biker. But buy your domains at GoDaddy, very good. And I'm hosting with HostGator. And that's where I hosted the last website, HostGator.com. Again, great company for hosting. And I'll talk a little bit that's a subject that I want to talk about on another podcast, is kind of, club stuff. We'll talk about some motorcycle club stuff. The club I belong to is a law enforcement motorcycle club, the Sworn Few MC. And we're going to get into, like I say, in future podcasts, some of those issues, some of those club things, and kind of promoting your club. We'll talk about websites and website building and all that kind of stuff. But so domain names at GoDaddy, and if you're going to host a site, direct your domain name over to HostGator. They have really good hosting services, very little, if any, downtime at all, and their plans are pretty cheap for a yearly plan, or you can do it monthly too. So anyways, that's enough of that. I want to get into, I kind of told you what the podcast is about, what I expect it to be. So I've been down and out here. I'll give you what I guess it was February 20th. I broke my finger at work. Yeah, on my right hand, and yes, I'm right-handed. Wonderful thing. Not. Got a cast on it, and it's been a glorious day because I got that cast off today. But it can't be perfectly glorious because now I'm in a big old stiff splint, and I got to wear that for the next, apparently, couple weeks at least. So I've been out not being able to ride, and that's really been pinning me up in the house. I've got a lot of stuff done in the house, but most of it's website and computer stuff, and I need to get out on my bike. So hopefully in another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'll be able to ride. And St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I know that. So I don't know if this is going to get pumped. I don't know if this is going to get pumped out before St. Patrick's Day. But anyways, before I get on my soapbox about coldness and how cold it is here and riding year round, let's get in the spirit. Yeah, it's I ride year round. I ride a Harley Street Glide. And Harley Street Glide's what I ride. So this podcast, obviously, it really doesn't matter what you ride. I just choose to ride Harley, and but that's mostly what I'm familiar about. But there are others that I know that ride metric bikes, and they're very familiar with metric bikes, and I'll be able to interview them. And when a new product comes out, we'll be able to interview them and review their bikes, and hope to gain a lot of connections through this podcast so we can do reviews on everything. So it's very cold here. I live in Washington State. Yeah, that's right. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. But I don't even know if this is Irish, but it sounds Irish. I thought I'd play it. Yeah, so it's still winter here, but this is the eastern part of Washington State is where I live. And so let me explain a little bit to you. It's desert, okay? When people think of Washington, they think of Seattle, okay? And this is totally different. We're across the Cascades, and over here in eastern Washington is a totally different climate. We get very, very little rain. So do not compare us to Seattle, please. I have friends in Seattle. I'm not talking bad about Seattle. There's good people over there. I just prefer it over here. I prefer it over here in eastern Washington, but in the summer, it is absolutely beautiful over there on the west side of the state, and wonderful, wonderful rides. It just happens that it's a very short time. We get a lot longer riding season over here, and that's for the people that don't ride year-round. Obviously, we ride year-round. My bike never gets put in the, winterized. Obviously, I park in the garage, but it doesn't get winterized. It doesn't get garaged. It gets ridden. And so over here in eastern Washington, we get these super, super hot summers, and you're talking, we can get temperatures of 110 degrees, and then when we go into the winter, we can be down to 0, and I've seen it below 0 quite a few times. We get a fair amount of snow. Like I said, we don't get a lot of rain. Everything's farm and irrigation and stuff over here, but there are some absolute beautiful rides over here, both in all of Washington State. So hit us up, email me once we get the website up and running. If you guys want to come to Washington State and do some riding, we can hook you up. In fact, secretary of my club, Rob, he is a really super good ride planner and has that down to a pat, and he even did a blog about it, and he would be more than willing to send you a ride plan if you wanted to tour Washington State or give you an example. He's really into that. I'm learning about that. I kind of just go, but he's super good at planning it. And so anyways, yeah, hit us up at that law-abiding biker at yahoo.com. And if you're coming to Washington, and ask us, and we'll see if Rob can send you a ride plan. Rob will be another one of the co-hosts on here, hopefully the next one. But anyways, talking about cold, and I work graveyard shifts, so I get off early in the morning, about 7 a.m., and it can be super cold. Obviously, I don't ride in the snow. I'm hardcore, but I'm not stupid. So, if there's ice on the road and things like that. But we took a trip up north, and this is what I want to talk to you about. I ride back from work in the morning, and it's about 8 miles to my house from work, right into the city. I live out in the country, and I still like to wear a heated jacket liner, but I don't really need to. And for years I didn't. It's a short ride, but me and Rob took a ride up. We had to meet some guys up north of where we are. And that day it was it fluctuated between, 38 and 45 degrees is fair to say. And it's 2 hours up and 2 hours back. So we rode up 2 hours. We rode around there a little bit, did our business, and we rode back. And so that makes for a really long day. And when you're riding that long in the cold weather and it's penetrating, and once your core temperature gets down, everybody knows they've been cold and their core temperature's down, that can become very miserable. I've ridden back in the day, a stripped down Harley Wide Glide was my last bike. I got a nice street glide now with a fairing, and it's still pretty stripped down, but it's that matte black, real tough looking primer black color. But my last bike was, I decked it out. It was a Wide Glide, and had intakes and the just awesome pipe. I had like $8,000, $10,000 extra stuff into that bike. I just went crazy with it, put big old 16-inch apes on it, but it was bad looking. But me and a crew rode at that time, and we rode and got caught up in, I remember we got caught up in some rain, and none of us had gear at all. We had gear, regular motorcycle riding gear, but by the time we got about halfway through that trip, the rain stopped, and we were absolutely soaked. We had to stop before the rain started. I had a funny story. I apologize, I'll get on topic here, which is the heated gear ride review. But I want to tell you this little story, but it's a funny story amongst us, and we'll probably talk about it on another podcast, because I got pictures too. I'll probably put them on our site or something, or put them on the new site. But I thought I was all prepared. This is back in the day, and my Wide Glide, no windshield, nothing, and which I wish I still had it, because I'd use it for around town. But I thought I was all prepared, and I had this emergency rain gear. I don't know if you've seen it, but you buy it at like the outdoor stores or survival stores, and it folds up into like a little pouch that you can fit in your back pocket, and it's clear. And I thought I was really, really prepared. I was very proud of myself that I had prepared and brought rain gear. It was an Eastern Washington ride, and it was supposed to be sunny and nice. It was in August, and that to this day, believe it or not, it was torrential downpours, absolutely torrential downpours. And so we were actually going to ride back home after about a 4-day trip, and we used to go to a really cool, I'm not going to get off subject. We used to go to a really cool rally over there called Rosalia that's no longer going, but we'll talk about that in another podcast. But anyways, so yeah, I was very proud of myself. We stepped out of the hotel, and it's raining good. It's not torrential at that point, but it's raining. And I look at all the guys. We've got all our leather gear and stuff. None of us have heated gear. None of us have, it's August. None of us have rain gear. Accept me. That's right. And so I pull out my survival rain gear that I got for like $4, and I'm set. And I got goggles, because I did carry goggles and a face mask for when it's cold. And so I'm all geared up. I'm ready to go. And I look at the guys, and none of them have rain gear, so we had to run downtown. And they rode in the rain down there, and it wasn't very far, a couple miles, and they went into a sports store, and they all bought, fairly decent rain gear, not really motorcycle riding rain gear, but they bought some rain gear. And so we geared up and we headed out for our trek, and it wasn't very far outside. We got onto the interstate, and then we got onto a state route, and this is when the absolute torrential downpour started. And I had a Wimmer intake with a dust sock on it. That's all I had. I'll review that in another podcast, but I'm going to tell you what happened. It was raining so hard that intake got all wet, and it wasn't getting enough air, and my bike was running super rich and cutting out, and I thought that it was going to, in the torrential downpour on top of it, I had it floored trying to keep the motor going, because it was getting so wet, and that sock, that dust sock and stuff was also, it just couldn't breathe. My bike couldn't breathe, but I made it about 8 miles. Yeah. My friends will tell you probably about 2 miles, but I want to say that rain gear lasted me at least 8 miles. Yes, Matt and Mark and Ed. Yes, you can try to say it didn't last that long, but it did. Yeah, and that cheap rain gear on top of my bike not running, that rain gear ripped to shreds at 60 miles an hour or whatever. The torrential downpour only lasted for like 3 miles, but in that 3 miles, it was just absolute chaos, and we had to ride. In fact, we had to ride like 30 miles an hour on the state route to even see, because we couldn't keep our glasses and goggles clear. But by that time, we're soaked, and I'm soaked because my gear ripped. Yeah, I think it ripped before we even hit the torrential downpour, to be honest. It was probably all ripped and shredded by then. But, so yeah, and their rain gear held up pretty good. One of the guys decided, I want to say Mark, who went with us, I don't think he got rain gear. He just wore his old leather coat, and he may have had rain gear. I can't remember, but anyways, his crotch got absolutely soaked. Me, being the prepared one, yeah, let's hear that again, because I was prepared. Yeah, I wasn't so prepared as I thought. But anyways, we were absolutely freezing once we got out of that rain, because then it was cloudy, and it just wasn't a typical Eastern Washington August day, and our core temperatures were down, and that's what I'm talking about, getting that core temperature down. Our hands were soaked and frozen, and we made it to halfway through the trip, and we stopped by this convenience store. And my gear, we've got pictures of it. It was like had a right sleeve left on it, and maybe like one pant leg. My crotch was absolutely soaking. My leather vest was just soaked. I was literally, I don't want to make it sound too serious, but yeah, I was getting hypothermic. But we punched through. We wanted to get to this convenience center where we're out in the middle of nowhere, by the way. Eastern Washington, we were riding towards, if you're not familiar with the area, but we were coming back from the Spokane area and trying to come into the Othello area. And it's just nothing but farm fields out there. If you were stopped, you'd have to stop by some farmer's house or something and see if they could help you. There's not a lot in between. So we forced it. We got there. I knew everybody was feeling like I was. The two that bought the good rain gear were probably doing better, but they were still glove soaked. They didn't have rubber gloves or rainproof gloves or anything like that. But we punched through, we got there, and we all just started stripping off our gear. And literally I went in the bathroom, and we just had to derobe down to our dry clothing and get into our bags. Even our T-shirts were wet underneath. I mean, it was a whole deal, and I actually was in that bathroom. I was getting very hypothermic and chattering, and I got into the heated dryer, the hand dryer, and I was actually used that. I was in there for quite a while, and getting that heat down my shirt and get underneath it, and I really had no pride at that point. I was on my knees underneath, the hand dryer. Whatever. I'm a humble guy. I don't get embarrassed easy. So you can laugh at me all you want, but that's what I did, is to get that core temperature back up, because that was going to be the hardest deal. I could put dry clothes on, but getting that core temperature back up. And we still had another, from Othello, I want to say, we still had another hour and a half before we'd get back to our hometown here. So that's a little bit intro into kind of where I got. It wasn't long after that. It wasn't because of that. Started taking longer rides, and the crew, we all had stripped down bikes. And like I say, I would love to have 2 bikes. I just can't afford it. That's why I'm doing a podcast in my daughter's closet, because I can't afford all the high-tech podcasting gear right now. But so it was I don't know, maybe a year or 2 after that. I was already looking and planning on doing it, but the crew, we wanted to go on some longer rides, and the stripped down bikes just weren't cutting it anymore. Yes. Yep. We're getting older. Yep. I'm no spring chicken anymore. And those longer rides, it's nice to have something comfortable, something, still like the Street Glide, because it's a stripped down look. It's a bagger, but I didn't go with the full dresser, the ultra classic or anything like that. I will eventually, so there's nothing wrong with that for those of you that have those. I'm middle-aged, let's just put it that way. So I know eventually I will go and get a full dresser, but that's down the road quite a ways. I love my Street Glide. But it was after that trip where I was like, okay, I bought good rain gear. I went, and that's another review that will, obviously I can do in another podcast. I don't have the best rain gear, but I went out and bought motorcycling rain gear, solid stuff that's going to hold up to the wind and going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour. It's not going to tear apart. I've got pullover boots that go over the boots. I got gloves that pull over the gloves, and obviously I have heated gear now. My core temperature never again will fall to that dangerous level. Kidding, obviously. But, I looked into the heated gear, and I did, it's quite a investment. So, everybody knows, if you buy Harley stuff, I love Harley stuff, and they make it real good. In fact, one of the guys in our club right now, the treasurer, he actually works at Harley in the service department. So he has a lot of good information. But there's a lot of other brands out there, and with heated gear. And, when you make an investment in something like that, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on heated gear, unless you just want to get the heated liner jacket or something like that. But I suggest, if you're going to do any kind of long distance riding, and you're just a true get out there, get at it, put the miles on kind of person. I like local riding, but I like putting on the miles too. I highly suggest that you, spend your money right. Spend your money right on the long distance riding gear. And so I did a lot of research, and I can tell you that I have tested thoroughly the gear that I'm about to talk to you about. Like I say, there are a lot of different brands. And before I can announce to you the winner. I just can't do it I can't just announce it with nothing. Yeah, it's better. The winner. You're just in the edge of your seat. I know you are. Hopefully if you're driving, you're all the way in your seat. Or if you're on a motorcycle and listening to this, hopefully you're all the way on your seat. The winner? First gear heated riding gear. That's right, first gear heated riding gear. Anyways, I am not sponsored by them, but after that, I mean, seriously, somebody should send that to them. That's props, man. I'm not getting any money from them to do this, but I want to help you guys. If you're just getting into riding and you're not familiar, or if you've been riding a long time and you just haven't made the investment, or you got some really crappy heated gear. Okay, let's break it down. First thing, just get into, they actually have a website. I can't remember. I'm in the closet, remember, and I cannot, and yes, I'm going to come out of the closet when I'm done with this podcast, but not like you're thinking. I'm just going to walk out of the closet. I'm not coming out of the closet. I'm walking out of the closet. Anyways. So get online, First Gear, and you can Google it, First Gear heated gear. I think it's like firstgearusa.com or First Gear. I don't have a computer in here, so I can't look it up for you. But I think I have a link to it. If you go to swornviewmc.com right now and you look at my blog, /blog, I think I have a link to it. You can take a look at it. There's pictures on there and very specific information on how to hook it up and stuff like that. I'll go over that with you just a little bit. But anyways, first thing you want to purchase is the heated liner. And I'm going to give you some tips about this gear, okay? There are different companies that make the plug-in gear that plugs into your bike versus the battery-operated gear. So the kind that you recharge your coat, or you put rechargeable batteries in, or just regular batteries, and it lasts, 4 hours or something. And they're making a lot of this gear. And, I'm finding out it's not just from the motorcycle industry. Hunters, elk, deer, duck hunters are getting fond of this gear, and they're selling it, not necessarily as motorcycle gear, but as hunting gear to keep the hunters warm. They're selling it at outdoors stores and so forth. So with that said, I will tell you that Rob, our secretary of the club I'm in, he actually uses one of those. He bought one of those heated battery jackets, and I'm going to have to talk to him, but I'm not sure how it lasts or how long it lasts. But I want to say that the most of them that I read, if you keep it on very low, it'll last like 4 to 6 hours. But for me, that's not good enough, because when you're riding an 8-hour day, or you ride 4 hours and it's cold, so you got to turn it up, and then your batteries are dead at 4 hours, or you got to recharge it. I don't want that hassle. At the same time, one of my concerns is I don't want a lot of wires coming out of stuff. And that's what's cool about First Gear heated gear. It is for motorcycling and for the motorcyclists. I believe they sell it, obviously, for snowmobile enthusiasts too, and things like that. It can be used for that, but it doesn't have a lot of wires. In fact, it's when it plugs in the bike, it's only got one wire. And let me explain how this works. The first thing that I would suggest you get is the First Gear heated coat liner. Okay, I'm trying to think, but I know that I have the 95 watt model, okay? And I believe they make a 60 or 65 watt model, okay, which is a little cheaper. I would just suggest, if you're going to be riding in cold weather, go ahead, and I don't believe it's that much more, but go ahead and, pump out the Benjamins and get the 95 watt. It's well worth it. It's going to keep you a lot warmer. It's a long-term investment. This stuff's going to last me for years and years and years. I don't know what the lifespan is on it, but haven't had any problems with it at all. So get that heated coat liner, the 95 watt, okay? Next thing you're going to need, and I want to remember I don't even have a pen with me. I'm really prepared here in the closet. I was going to make a note, but whatever. I'll talk to you about what to wear underneath it, but underneath this heated gear, if I remember. If I don't, then email me and let me know I screwed up. But get that coat liner and the 95 watt, like I say, and the next thing that comes, you're going to need, this is what I would do. I'd buy it all together, but if you're going to start out and buy it in pieces, I kind of bought it all together, but you don't have to. You can piece it out. So this is the order I would go. First, the heated liner, like we've talked about it, the heated jacket liner. Okay. Then once you get that heated liner, you're going to need the dual heat, the heat troller. Okay. And what this is that's what comes with that's what's going to operate your jacket. Okay. It's wireless, which is really cool. Now, I don't mean the jacket's wireless. Okay. There's wires that run all through the jacket. What I'm saying is the controller itself is wireless. It runs off batteries, and there's a receiver in your jacket. There's a special pocket for the receiver, and that's how you turn your heated gear on and off. And that is also how you control the temperature setting on how hot you want your gear. Okay? So they make a single heat troller and a dual heat troller. Go for the dual heat troller. Okay? And here's why. When you get the gloves and you get the socks and you get the heated pants, you don't want just one dual controller. Okay? Or excuse me, a single controller, because that means all your gear is going to be the same temperature. Okay? Now, and I know if you're like I am, you're not going to want your legs as hot as, your legs are probably going to be, and your feet are going to be on lower temperature setting than your core body temperature, your jacket and gloves up top. Okay, that's just me. If you want to do the single, but I think you'll be disappointed. They also make a heat troller, a wired inversion, and what I mean by that is it's not wireless. It actually would install on your bike, and it wouldn't take batteries. It would just hardwire into your bike, and that's where you would, mount it to your dash. A lot of them mount it to the dash, or they have the little knobs come through the dash for the settings, okay? And you can do that yourself, or if you're not very mechanically inclined, then obviously service technicians will do that for you, okay? But I would go with the wireless remote. Let me tell you, it takes a hearing, or I think it's like a CR2. It's like one of those big hearing aid batteries, and it lasts a whole season. Okay, because it's not doing anything except communicating with the receiver in your jacket to turn it on and to control the heat setting. So it doesn't need a battery replacement all the time. I literally change it. I don't even check it. I change it once each season at the beginning of the season, and I'm good to go. So you don't have to have it installed. You don't have to run wires. In the summer, the way I do it is I just take the little square box with the 2 dials on it, and I just Velcro it to my dash, my Street Glide fairing dash. And then I just, when I'm not using it in the summers, I just unvelcro it and throw it in my bags, and it's with me on a trip. If I need it, I can pull it out, Velcro it to the dash. You can throw it in a pocket. It has a lanyard for around your wrist. You can pretty much do it. It's real small, like one of the old really small brick cell phones. It's even smaller than that. It's super tiny. But get the wireless. That would be my suggestion. With that comes the actual, and you can install this yourself. All you got to do is remove your seat. If you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. Take it to a dealer. But I'm telling you, it's not hard. It comes with where it hooks into the battery. There's a little box that comes with it. You connect it, one to the positive terminal, one to the negative terminal, and that little box just sits under your seat. And running off that box is the main power source. Okay, that's the main power source. And I just routed it up. I put my seat on and I just routed up, and it's just pinched in between my seat and my tank. And that's where I guess it's a coaxial cable, I guess they call it. And that's the only plug-in where my jacket plugs in. Okay, none of my other gear has to be plugged in. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more. Okay, so we've got the wireless dual heat controller Velcroed on my dash now. And I've got my main power source pinched between the seat and the tank, one little coaxial cable, and then I've got my heated jacket liner, okay? And coming out of the left pocket of my heated jacket liner is one power plug-in. I connect that to the coax cable, the main power cable that's pinched between my seat and my tank, and I'm done. That's it, folks. Done. But yeah, so that's the only wire that you're going to have to plug in. So when I get off my bike, that's all I just reach down, unplug that, and I walk away. Okay, it's not confusing. A lot of people are confused about heated gear, and I have to admit I was a little bit too when I first got into it. It doesn't have to be a big wiring mess. And to sync that heat troller with your receiver in your jacket, it comes with instructions, but you just turn it off and on 3 times, and then you plug your code in, and it's now synced. That transceiver is synced to that receiver. That's it. Okay, now let's go on down the list. The next thing I would suggest getting is, if I were doing in pieces, I would certainly go and get the heated gloves. They're next, and First Gear makes those too. They're leather. They're pretty warm without being plugged in, but here's how that works. So you're already sitting on your bike and you got the one plug. Now your gloves, out of the sleeves of your gloves are little pockets, and out of those, each arm comes a little coax cable, and your gloves each have a coax cable. Yeah, coming together now. And those just plug into your gloves. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. The dual heat troller. The dual heat troller will now control the first knob. I will have control the heated liner, jacket liner, and the gloves. Okay. Now the next thing I would go out and purchase is the heated pants. Okay, heated pants liner, and they they plug right into the jacket. There's inside the jacket, down at the left, very lower left on the inside, is another pocket. You unzip that and you plug that coax cable into the pants. Okay, and then last I would get the heated socks. And obviously out of each leg of the heated pants, there's a little pocket, and out of those pockets comes a coax cable. Bada bing, bada bang, right? You plug those into each of the heated socks. Now your left or your other button on your dual heat troller can control your pants and your socks together. So one knob heats my jacket and my gloves, the other my pants and my socks. So really cool. And you can switch that around if you want, but off that receiver in your jacket, there's two main power supplies that come off, and you'll get it when you see it, but I hope that helps a little bit. I was a little bit confused when I got it, but so that's it. I can be completely plugged in with gloves, coat, pants, and socks. And when I get off my bike, I unplug one thing and I walk away. And when I come back, I sit on my bike, I plug that one cable in, I reach up on my dash, turn the heat troller on, and off I go. Okay, I remembered okay, here's one of the mistakes that you don't want to make that I made, is what to wear underneath this. Okay, this is heated gear, and for it to be fully affected, you need to be able to feel the heated gear and get that heat into your core temperature. And like I told you, me and Rob, the secretary of my club, rode up north, and we rode for that 4 hours, and my core temperature stayed just fine. And the reason is because I was dressed appropriately and I knew what to wear because I had made the mistake before. So here's what you don't want to wear under your heated gear. Okay. Under the gloves, I wouldn't wear anything. Just put the gloves on. Okay. Don't isolate the heat from your skin. It's not so hot it's going to burn you. Okay. Plus you can adjust it. Under the heated jacket and under the heated pants, I wear the heated pants. All I do is wear my chonies, and I said chonies. Yep. So yeah, that's all I wear under my Sorry, I got distracted there. That's all I wear is my chonies underneath the. I wear the heated pant liners right on my skin, basically. What you don't want to wear, and the mistake I made is thermal gear, long underwear, because long underwear is supposed to keep you warm, but long underwear keeps the heat out too. And so, excuse me, if you wear the heated gear with that thermal gear, you won't even feel the heat to the jacket. It's really not going to do its job on keeping your core temperature. So I made that mistake. So under the jacket, I just simply wear, just like a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt. That's it. Now, over the heated jacket, wear whatever you want. I'll put another sweatshirt, or I'll put a flannel, and then my cut, or if it's really cold, I'll put my leather jacket and then my cut over my leather jacket, and stuff like that. So, and the pants, same thing. Over that, if you want to wear long underwear over that, it's fine. That's cool. But I haven't found necessity to do that, and I've ridden in very, very cold weather. I don't wear thermal gear over that stuff. And even so, on our trip up north, let me just tell you what I was wearing. And we're talking about 4 hours of riding in between 38 and 45 degree weather, and sun wasn't really out. So I've never turned that. I turned that jacket up to 2/3. Most of the time, and even the coldest weather, I turn that heated liner up to half, for the heated coat liner, jacket liner, and the gloves. And same with the pants. I rarely turn that up over half. So I've never used it on full. I even get hot at 2/3. I'll have to turn it down. I mean, literally riding in that weather up north the other day, or in early February, I can truly say I got hot, and turned it down. And I didn't have any thermal gear on over it. So I just had, on the heated socks, I would wear underneath those. The only thing under the heated socks is just wear like a pair of cotton socks. That, like, not, regular socks, nothing wool or anything like that. But don't wear the socks directly on your skin. They will, first of all, be a little uncomfortable because they got a few little wires in them. And they do get pretty hot. And I just don't think it'd be very comfortable. I've never tried it, but if you wear cotton socks, it'll get through it perfectly. Really, the pants are the only thing that I don't wear anything under, besides my chonies. Just gear up like that. And then, so I had cotton socks, and I had good Danner boots on, good leather Danner boots that were a little bit insulated. And then I just had my dicky pants over that, over my heated pants, and some chaps, and over my heated jacket was just a sweatshirt, leather vest and cut, and that's it. That's how we rode that day, and stayed super warm. So hopefully that's, like I say, if you want a little more, if you want some pictures, obviously you can Google it, look online. But I've tested this stuff, and I didn't just test it on this one trip. Okay, excuse me. I tested this stuff over the last several years, and I haven't had one problem with it. And I pull it out, and when I ride home from graveyard shift from work, I don't even wear all the gear because it's an 8-mile ride. I just take the heated liner, there's the heated jacket liner, and if it's really cold, I'll do the gloves, but sometimes I just wear a little bit insulated gloves and I'm fine. That gets me home 8 miles after graveyard. So usually it's only the long trips that I have to gear all the way up. But I carry that gear with me I don't care if it's summer. I don't care. It doesn't matter, because we've been even caught out in the summer in August in eastern Washington when it's desert. So sometimes it stays warm at night, but it can be really hot during the day, but it can really, once your body adjusts, it can cool down. And we've been caught at night, coming back late at night from being out and on a trip and trying to get back to the hotel. And I've gotten really cold. That sucks. I don't like riding in being cold. There's no reason to be cold if you get the proper gear. So even on our summer trips, I'm packing, the heated gear, depending on, like when we're taking a ride later, and that's another podcast I want to talk about to you guys, and some ride planning and stuff like that. But there's we're going to go tri-state, 3 different states here, and we're going to go over to Yellowstone and stuff like that. But you can guarantee that heated gear's going with me, that first gear heated gear, because there's going to be some really hot areas and then some really cold areas, and I'm going to be prepared. So that's my spiel on first gear heated gear. Like I say, I don't want to. We're going on. We're going on about getting close to an hour here. So hopefully you can listen to this. I get a lot of other podcasts that are good too, and hopefully in the future I can give you some props to those. I'm not going to do that right now. That are, they're some are bike related. Some are bike related. Some are just good podcasts. But a really good thing. I don't know if you work graveyard or I don't know. These podcasts and getting information. And I found talking to other bikers, law-abiding bikers, us, the 99%ers, it's a super good way to pass information because we all have different experiences. And by no means, by giving this podcast, am I saying that I know everything about biking? Absolutely not. I've been in it, and I've been heavily in it, so I do have a lot of advice, and I think I know it pretty well, but there's still so much that I can even learn from you guys out there. So please feel free. Like I say, we're going to get the website up and do that kind of stuff for now. lawabidingbiker@yahoo.com. I'm Ryan. I'm your host. And if you're out in your car, that's when I listen to most of these, is in the car. And you can listen to these podcasts, and they're a great way to kill time and get information and be entertained. And hopefully, obviously, some of these I'm going to host by myself. I can't get everybody together all the time, but as we pump these out and we get some Skype interviews and some other people that I may not even know, I would really, really like to hear from you and hear your thoughts and comments and topics you want to talk about. And if you have a particular area that you're really versed in, then by all means, I'm going to get you on the horn and see what we can do. Obviously, I've got to get my gear, which I'm working on, my podcasting gear. But anyways, yeah. So drop us a line and listen to the podcast. Like I say, you can get it in the iTunes store. You can get it for BlackBerry, Android, and when it's on the website, you can pretty much listen to it on any mobile device. Your iPod, your iPhone, your Android. So look for the, I'm hopefully going to pump that page out tomorrow, is the law-abiding biker page, Facebook page. And I may do a Twitter with that too, a law-abiding biker, but I don't think if they let you have that many characters, but I'll do something. At minimum, look for the page. I'll be spreading around the different forums, like it, get connected. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And this is just me. It's just me starting it as a hobby and trying to get some content out there, see what we can do with this thing, and keep it real. So, yeah, I really, really appreciate you guys listening. And you got to listen to episode 1, and hopefully it won't be too long. I'll pump out a second episode, and we'll get a little bit crazier. Again, thanks for listening to this podcast, and I want to remind you, this is a podcast for any law-abiding motorcycle enthusiast. Yeah, word of mouth, folks. If you can spread it around and get people listening. The more people we have listening to this baby, the more feedback we can get, the more comments, the more input from you guys. And you know who you are. You know who you are because you're the 99%ers. That's right. The majority, 99% of the motorcycle law-abiding enthusiast. Yep, we're going to do it all here. So stay tuned. Peace out.